The drama surrounding Myka Stauffer continues to swirl, and the controversy behind her rehoming decisions has taken over the internet. For those who are getting caught up on what happened, Stauffer adopted her son Huxley by using an adoption agency from China in the year 2017. In time, she realized his medical and behavioral needs were too much for her family to handle in that situation. Huxley, who is now 5 years old, was placed in a new home seemingly without the use of an adoption agency. Stauffer cites his autism as being the reason she could not keep up with his care. She went on to place him in a home she felt was suitable, but not without many questions and lots of backslash as to how this adoption worked, and how she could continue to care for her biological children but not her adopted son. It is clear that private adoption comes with a much higher price tag, yet allows for greater leniency and personalization of the terms involved. Yet, public adoption is a more standardized process with less room for personal interpretation. Controversy has surrounded Stauffer's private adoption choice ever since she took to social media to reveal her rehoming decisions. The focus has now put on private versus agency adoption and the pros and cons surrounding each option. The famous YouTuber and influencer has taken a hard hit both personally and professionally. Many fans have turned into critics and are publicly slamming her for choices, and her business has seen a sharp decline as brands drop off the list. According to reports, in private adoptions, there are some legal requirements that must be adhered to. These include home studies as well as background checks on the adopting parents. This leaves us all questioning what it is that happened with Huxley. The Stauffer family found him a new home by personally vetting the new family, but is that all enough? Without going through extensive digging and qualifying processes, how would an individual know if they have placed their adopted son in a very good home? While it's great that they were able to find a personal match for Huxley, some wonder if that's enough homework to fully understand the background of the new family. Stauffer's social media posts stated that they had found another family for Huxley, but it remains unclear as to what they really means. They went on to say that their adopted son has a lot more special needs that they weren't aware of. Critics explained that the idea behind adoption is not to give up at the first signs of trouble, and those issues are bound to rise to the surface at some point. And the point of adopting a child is to work as a family to process through the tough times. There will always be both medical and emotional unknowns when your child comes home. Since they adopted Huxley at a very young age, his signs of autism may not have been presented at that time. The way Myka Stauffer approached the rehoming process was not at all what most people would expect. Had an agency been involved, the new family would have undergone the same screening process as any other family would have processed through. An agency would take a close look into all aspects of the prospective family's life. Criminal record checks would be done and financials would be assessed as well. Without the support of an agency, how does Myka know in all certainty that the new home they put Huxley into is going to have the special and necessary needs for him? How would they know if the new parents had a criminal history of some sort? What if they can't financially sustain the level of care he requires? There are more questions than answers in this circumstance, and that leaves many people questioning the Stauffer's ethics as they made this bold move. To complicate matters further, there would have been a good chance that Huxley would have had to process through foster care had the Stauffers used a traditional agency. He may have had to circle through the system from start to the finish. It is difficult to say what could have been, but one thing's for sure. The general consensus across the board is that adoption is a permanent move. To give a child a loving and a very permanent home. And it doesn't seem that Stauffers were able to fulfill the promise. The promise that they made to Huxley. Thank you all and meet you all in another great story.